Never mind. Hi, Lynn.
Yes, Liz.
Hi, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm
You're
humbled to be
welcome.
here.
Thank you. It's been a struggle to make this happen. So I appreciate your time. I'm very, very grateful.
I'm also so, the network has also disturbed and even connections have been not all that good.
Yeah, I
But
know.
at least finally I'm here.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you were able to join because I was wondering, I was saying, what am I doing wrong? Is it mine? Is it so anyway,
No, I think it was mine, yeah.
okay. So quickly,
Mm.
know who Lynn is, and tell us about your organization, and then you can also tell us your story.
Okay, Lynn, I'm Kirungi Lynette, 29 years old, born from Hoima district, that is Midwestern Uganda. I'm a mother of one boy. But briefly about my story, maybe I'll say this happened 9 years back in January, on 11th of January. That's when I celebrated my ninth born anniversary. This came like any other young lady. I was a young girl. When you are in that useful stage whereby you think maybe you can have someone in life. I was in my high school. That's where I met someone. That was Mandela Secondary School in Hoima. That's when I met someone. He was in senior six and I was in senior five. He asked me to be his girlfriend. Of course, it took me time to accept his proposal, but as time went on during vacation, then I accepted and became a girlfriend. But at times you can you cannot tell who someone is, especially if you've not spent some good time with that person. During the vacation, it's when I realized that the person I was dating or the person I was trying to be with was not, like, he didn't have whatever, all the features I needed in a man. He was someone who was very obsessed, very insecure, and I would say too protective, to the extent that even if like you receive just a near phone call, it will change. This person is, you will see like a way has now completely changed. Everything about the person changes. But of course, like every relationship is full of ups and downs. We would today say no, let's end the relationship, and tomorrow you'll be like, no, Lynette, I'm not willing to let you go. I still want you back. I gave him chances and chances until when I joined campus. That was 2011. When I joined the campus, now I think things really became tough because by the time I joined, I wanted to live an independent life, far from my parents, and try to be independent. So I was like this guy. When he got to know that I had joined campus, the first thing that came into his mind that it was one that once since I'm just coming to campus, then we'll start staying together as wife and husband, or as a girlfriend and boyfriend. Something that I refused. So when I came, I rented a simple hostel, got a roommate, and we stayed there. But this is something he didn't want at the start. So later on, he became something different. He started to trying to track my calls, diverting all my calls. So my colleagues at campus would call me and they were like, "Lynette, what's going on? At times we call you and we hear a man picking. Are you married?" But some of these friends of mine, they knew my home. I would tell them that, "Have you ever seen a man at my hostel?" That, no. Then how come that whenever we try to call you, it's a man who picks your call? Until when one day I said, maybe try to call me. I think I need to hear this as a person. So they called. And when they called, it's when I realized that it was true. He had diverted all my calls. So what I did, I remember I had bought me that phone. So what I did, I called him. I went to his home and I said, you know what? Have your phone. This is not my phone. I think this is your phone. Since these people now they cannot access me, they have to access me through you. Have your phone. At least I'd rather be without a phone than being with a phone that is of no use. He tried like, no, Lynette, go with your phone. I said no. I gave him the phone. Then I started a new life. But that didn't stop there. He started trying to follow me up, all my movements, whatever I was doing. I remember the last time, like during the last moments, he tried to follow me up to campus. He called me. I wanted me to go to his home and maybe we discuss something I could not do. So I told him I was in exams and he was like, okay. The next day, what he did, he came to campus, went to the university timetable and checked. I think that's when he realized that I didn't have an examination on that day. I had a paper the next day. When I was on my way to the campus for a discussion, it's when I met him and was like, okay, why did you tell me that you were in an exam? I've checked your timetable and I can't see any paper for you. How come? I told him I think even if it is once it is examination period, it is examination period. I'm here for exams, so it means even if I don't have a paper, I have to prepare myself for the next paper that I'm still having. Then he said, okay, that is fine. Later on, he grabbed my hand and was like, can we have a discussion? Can we talk? I told him, if I told you're going to be brief, because I have an exam, I have a discussion. I've been called my friends to come for a discussion. So when he grabbed my hand, but at times you can see the face, someone's face has changed. I said, what's going on? So when we started discussing, like when he sat down to hear from him, he was not saying anything until when I said, "What's going on?" Because I have a discussion going on, and I'm just here, and you're not saying anything. What's going on? Then later on, he raised his hand to slap me. So when he tried to raise his hand, I remember he raised the hand. Then I tried to grab it like this. Then later on, I was like, you know what? I've never been slapped by my own father. I know my father is seen as the toughest man in the entire village, but he has never slapped me. We are just dating, not yet married. If you can manage to slap me, then it means a lot is waiting. I don't want to test what is going to happen. So I told him, you know what? Let's just end the relationship. We remain friends, but we end this because it is taking us somewhere, not as we had expected. Then later on, he said, Leonard, I'm not willing to let you go. You're my girlfriend. You're my wife. I will not allow any other man to take you away from me. I said, what do you mean by allowing any other man? Have you heard anything that maybe I'm being dated by any other person? He said no. Then he said, I think you're trying to create all excuses to get another man or to move away from me, but I'm not willing to let you go. Afterwards, he said, Lynette, you know what? I can't allow any man to take you away from me. At least I will do what it means. If it means killing you or killing the other person, I will do it. But of course, at times we just take things for granted, thinking that maybe the person is just joking. So after a short time, he moved away. I also went for a discussion. What happened that day? I had gone for a discussion, but the truth is I didn't discuss. I started feeling something like as if I was very sick because I was feeling somehow sick. Then I started feeling something strange. Later on, I told my colleagues, you know what, let me just sleep. I'm not feeling well. Be discussing or be hearing. But I said, Lynette, we called you to discuss for us, and you're telling us to discuss for you as you sleep. What's going on? Are you really fine? I told them I'm not feeling well. Later on, the situation really changed. I became very sick. I remember there was a reverend priest around St. Augustine Makeri who came 3 times telling me to first go home and rest. Like he came like 3 times telling me to first go home, rest, and maybe I'll read later. But you know, when you're having a paper the next day, you cannot sleep. Later on, the situation worsened, and my colleagues escorted me back to the hostel. And when I went back to the hostel, really, I became very sick. My colleagues even started trying to make calls, trying to inform my friends and relatives. Then, when I reached when I was leaving the campus, my friends said, "Lynn, we are not going to take you to your hostel. You're not fine. Let's take you to your friend's hostel." So they took me to Hanifa's hostel. And when I went to her place, I told them I just want to sleep. Don't wake me up. I'll wake myself up. They said it's fine. So I slept. Immediately when I entered the room and they had to close it, the same guy came to Hanifa's hostel. Remember, I had not informed him that I was going to Hanifa's place. Hanifa's place was very far from my home. And I really don't know how he came to know that I was in that hostel. So he came asking my friends that, where is Lynette? I want to talk to Lynette. They told him Lynette is sleeping, and she told us not to even knock that door because she wants to rest. She's not feeling well. Then later on, he said, no, I want to talk to her. These people said, no, we're not going to allow you to talk to her. She's not fine. Afterwards, he went, and when he was leaving, he told them, when she wakes up, just tell her so and so has been around. So when I woke up, I was really surprised to hear these people telling me that someone called this and this has been here looking for you. I was really surprised. I have never told him about this hostel. I'm just here. How come that the person knows the place? So the next day, I remember I had a paper. That day, the night I slept, this guy called many times trying to apologize, like, Lynette, I'm sorry for whatever I said, but the truth, I love you and I'm not willing to let you go, even to let any person take you away from me. If it means doing whatever it means, I will do it, but just know I love you. I told him, you know what, I think you're becoming something different. Let's end this relationship. He said, Lynette, I'm not willing to let you go. I still love you. You're my wife, and no one is going to marry you. But like any other person, at times we take these things for granted. We don't see them to be like so serious. That night I slept. He kept on calling. I'd gotten a small phone, small katochi. We used to call them katochi phones. So I had that Nokia phone. He kept on calling, Lynette, oh, I'm sorry. Then I said, it's okay, but we are ending this. When it was coming to around 5, I got a terrible dream. I dreamt when I was in, like, my aunt that sent her to come to the hostel to pick me to go into the hospital to see my mom, that my mom was very sick. So when I went to see my mom, I found everyone outside crying. I told these people, you know what? There's something going on. I'm not going to enter the hostel. To enter the hospital. They say, I told them, no, your mom is dead. They said, no, mom is still alive, but enter. So I refused. That's when I got out of that dream. I couldn't believe that my mom was really like, it was just a dream. So I had to first make calls at home to confirm. I called my mother, I called everyone around. They were saying, they're all fine. Then later on, my mom, the only thing she told me, Lynette, just kneel down and pray. But remember, during those 2 weeks of examination, I would try to pray and words could not come out. I would try to read the Bible. I would find myself sleeping. Like you're on your bed trying to read, you start dozing. You're trying to pray, you start yawning. Later on, I tried to ask my roommate, what's going on? Whenever I'm trying to do this and this, something strange happens. Then my roommate said, Lynette, I think there's something going on. or there's something that is going to happen, but you need to be prayerful. Then I asked her, how will I really be prayerful when now it is becoming a different topic? Because whenever I try to pray now, I just start yawning. When I try to read, I start even dozing. So I became confused. So out of that dream, I tried to pray, but like you're really praying and you really feel whatever you're praying. You're not all that strong like the way you used to be strong spiritually. So after prayers, what I did, I woke up. I told my roommate, you know what? Let's just prepare ourselves. We go to campus. At least for the first day, we enter a Makerere library because for first years, especially first semester, most of us we really go to the library. Most cases you read from the Freedom Square or your classrooms. So on that day, I told her let's prepare ourselves. So we go 100. But remember, I was on evening program. I used to go only on evening, and that was my first day when I went to Makerere early in the morning. So this guy it was around the 6, he called me again. Said, Lynette, where are you? Like I told him I'm sleeping. Then okay, he said okay. At what time are you going to campus? I told him I'll go. I think I want to go very early because I have a paper and I've not read enough. He said okay. I went after showering. I had to prepare myself. Then he called again, asking, have you left? I told him no, I've not yet left, but I'm just preparing myself to go. He called me the third time. And I didn't know that this person was trying to ask me about all my plans because he had also planned something. So the fourth time, when he called, I was already leaving the hostel. Then he called and was like, have you already left? I told him no. I'm leaving the hostel. Right now, I'm outside the door. I'm outside, I'm almost reaching the gate. He said, okay. That was my last call. Then later on, I moved and then when we were moving, I told these people, where are we taking the phones? Let's just take back the phones to the room. We'll find the phones after the papers. So I took the phone back to the room and we disappeared when we went we went to the library. On my way, when I was just starting, like just moving out of that gate, we were three of us. Hanifa, she had a brother because these people were staying in 2 rooms, like they were in the same hostel having 2 rooms, so they were sharing food and everything. So we were moving there were three, they were all ahead of me, like I was behind. I started hearing some strange things, like weird sounds, as if there's someone following me up. I tried to look behind. I couldn't see anyone. I tried to check everywhere. I couldn't see everyone. And remember, it is 6:30, and that was my first day to move outside by around 6:30. I'd never moved out before that time, like campus time. So I tried to look behind. I couldn't see anyone. We started moving. Later on, I was now in the middle, but when you're moving as you're talking, then you find yourself now you are either in front or behind. The third time now, like the last time I was now behind. So we're moving, but whenever I could keep like you hear as if someone is trying to pass and you can't see the person. I tried to stop to create space for this person to pass, but I couldn't see anyone behind. Until when we reached somewhere, and this was around near Makerere Western Gate, that is Sir Apple Road. I said, but this person who is moving and is not coming out, who could he be? What's going on? So something came into like you hear as if you were talking to someone, just like a voice telling you stop and see, try to look behind. I tried to look everywhere, I couldn't see anyone. So all my friends, they left me. I think they thought I was behind. They left me and even like they had already crossed the road. So when I stopped, later on I started moving. But immediately when I turned like to start moving, I got something I can call it like a voice, like the way you find yourself you're at home alone, but you feel like there's someone telling you to do something. I had a voice telling me to look behind. I turned. When I turned just like this, I saw the person had covered himself in black things all over, carrying a bucket. The buckets we normally use for showering. It was a blue bucket. That's what I remember. So when I saw the blue bucket, of course, I had nothing. I'd never seen anyone, any victim of acid attack. That is something I had never even thought of. So I saw the bucket and just continued moving. Immediately when I turned, when I tried to change my position to try to move the person forward, the content. Immediately I thought it was urine. I remember I called all my friends telling them, Hanifa, Musa, they have poured urine on me, please come back. But immediately, like after, I would say like not even 2 minutes, it's like 1 minute, I started feeling something strange, like you hear something as if there is something pinching you. So after like 3 minutes, I was already stiff. I tried to look down. The neck couldn't see anything. I couldn't turn. My hands became stiff. I was just like a police officer, just doing like this. Then I said, "What's going on?" After I think by 5 minutes or even more, I was already naked on top. Well, up I was already naked. Someone who had a vest, a bra, then a top and a jacket. I remained naked on top. I only remained with a trouser. So these people, by the time Hanifa came back, she was like, Lynette, you said they poured urine on you. You're even not the one. Then she disappeared. They told her, no, she's the one, you come back. Hanifa disappeared. So later on, she came back and she was like, no, I can't believe that is Lynette. Because I was boiling by that time. Like you could really hear yourself boiling, but the problem I couldn't see myself. Because this entire side became stiff. Like it became stiff to the extent that I couldn't see myself burning down because the neck was just like this. I couldn't turn down. After a few minutes, I had someone I tried to move to the main road looking for help. Remember, it is 6:30. People are moving, going for work, and most of the shops are closed. I tried to seek for help. I couldn't see anyone helping you. The pain was beyond me. So I remember, when you're in danger times, you can even think of what has never existed. Something came into my mind that there was a hospital called, is it Malcolm or something around that road. So I started running, looking for the hospital. Unfortunately, I found myself in a school, that is Makerere Institute for Social Development. I found myself there. So then I realized that it was not even a hospital. I went back, and then these people, the ones who were on the main road, they said, that girl is going to run mad. Then they tried to look for my colleagues. They told them just get her, at least hold her. If not, she'll end up doing something. So after a few minutes, I tried to look for help. I failed. Then I went in the middle of the road, trying at least to see if I can get someone to knock me down, then that is the best option. Unfortunately, it was a convoy. The convoy, either it was for a minister or someone big from the government. So these people stopped and the police officers came out. They were like, what are you doing? I just looked at them. Then they were like, what are you doing, young lady? What do you want us to do? I told them, just take me to the hospital. They said, okay, let's go to our boss and you talk to our boss. When they took me to the boss said, I can see that it's acid. And the whole trouser you're remaining with, it is full of acid. It is even still flowing. So I can't put you in the vehicle. If I put you in the vehicle, everything will get burned. I tried to beg the man, and unfortunately, I cannot even recognize who he was. I tried to beg him. He said, please, just allow me go. I can't do this because it is acid. Everything will get spoiled. So it is okay. Then he told me, you know what? just help me, give me space, and I go. What I did, I just moved away and he left. So I remained there just like a statue because I was just like this and all my hands were like this. So what happened? My friends came back with a border and were like, Lynn, let's go to the hospital. When the border guy saw me with the acid, the guy said, no, I can't take her anywhere. That is acid. It is going to damage the border, the motorcycle, so I can't take her. Later on, I got another border. Still, that was the same excuse. And when they got to the third one, I remember he told me, you know what? I would, but I don't want to be the first suspect. If I take you to the hospital, look for me to tell these people what happened. Then, if at all, maybe if you died, I'll be taken to court or somewhere to give my statement. So this guy left me there. Until now, that was coming now to 8:30. Remember, was burnt around 6:30. Until when someone came and some lady had me crying. She was in a taxi, I remember. She came and told these people, you know what? This lady is going to run mad. If not, she's going to die from here. Just help her. If you have water, even if it is dirty water, just pour it on her. There was some guy who said, I think I have something like water. So he called me, said, okay, you come and I pour some water on you. He told me to lie down. I told him, you know what, I can't lie down because my body is stiff, so I can't lie down. Just pour the way you can. So when he tried to pour water, the water, like much of it was on my head. Remember, much of the acid was on my head. But the good thing I had was by that time I had a wave. So much of the acid was on top of the wave. And when he tried to pour water, my hair caught fire. So when my hair caught fire, he said, young lady, I don't want more troubles. Just to go away. He chased me away. I tried to beg him to pour out at least more water. He said, just go away. So I left here. Now I remember now I'm having fire on my head. This lady told them, just pour some soil. Everything with the fire will cool down. Then now they had to pour some soil. Remember now some acid was still on top of the wave. After some like 30 minutes, Musa, Hanifa's brother, they came with another motorcycle. And this guy still said, no, that is acid. I can't respect her. I don't want my motorcycle to get damaged. And I said, what's going on? Later on, someone from nowhere just came. There's some guy who came with a motorcycle. And he said, I think life is better than everything in this world. Let me take you to the hospital. If they consider me as the first suspect and maybe they need a statement from me, I will give it as long as you're alive. But it will not make sense for me to leave you here, then the next day I hear you're dead. So this guy said, I don't care about the motorcycle, let me take you to the hospital. So they took me to Mulago Hospital. Remember now I'm naked, I'm half naked. Then I had something like a wrapper, we call it a wrapper, which my friend came with. Hanifa, she was like, let me cover you. And these people told Hanifa, you know what, don't put anything on her body. If you put it there, it will get stuck and you'll not be able to remove it. So we left and went to the hospital. The pain was really too much. Remember now it was very cold. You remember January is, especially early in the morning, it is cold. It was very cold. And the more when it is too cold, you could hear it entering into the body. So they took me to Mulago casualty where I found like when I reached there, the doctors had me making noise from very far. They said, I think that is acid. You need to pour as much water as it is. But later on, they realized they had not given me any first aid. Then they said, okay, try to give her painkillers. They tried all the types of painkillers, they failed. I remember that I had the doctor telling the nurse, I think the pain is beyond. we need to cool her down. If we don't, she will end up running mad. If at least if you have something like cow foam, it will be okay, or anything that can put her down, like to cool her down. By the time she gets up, the pain is there, has reduced. So they tried it, it still failed, and were like, Lynette, what do you take? Do you take alcohol? I told them, no, I don't take anything. After a few minutes, the doctor said, now the painkillers have failed. Let's go to the water room. They told my friends, remember my friends had informed some other friends of ours, so they all came and they told them to start pouring water, all of them. They told them, all of you, get your pipe and start pouring as much as it is. They started. I entered that room when it was coming to 9. I left when it was around 5. They had informed about they had informed my parents, and when they told my mom, she collapsed. She couldn't believe it because they told her Lynette is sick. Remember, I talked to her in the morning when I was telling about that dream that I was not even feeling fine. She said, no, I talked to her. She told me she's not fine. Then they told her, no, that is not the issue. They have burnt her with acid. Then when she had that, she became unconscious. The same thing happened to my dad. Then meaning these people could not come there and then. Later on, someone who found them on the floor got the phone and tried to call my colleagues, and then they informed the other relatives of mine who were around Kampala. By the time they came back, I remember I phoned when I was now being taken to the emergency room. I phoned them outside, and when all of them looked at me, they started crying. I remember one of my aunt was like, "If you've come here to cry, just leave." Then I was taken to the emergency room. While there, I saw this same guy. He came to see me. He told these people that I want to see her. So he came. So when I came, I told these people to chase him away. But remember, some of them they didn't know the story between me and him. So I just told them to chase him away. That night now they had 2 hours like on a mattress, no bed sheet, but just water. The entire place was full of water. Then I became unconscious. The next day I found myself still in water. These people were still pouring water on my body. I remember when I was praying, like when you're trying to come back to your normal senses, hearing people complaining, like shouting about the water. The whole ward was full of water, the entire emergency room. So afterwards, they took me to ICU. Then that's when my journey started in the hospital. I was there for 1 year. I had 6 surgeries. Like you've seen, I lost this left ear. I had this neck had joined with the chin, so they had to try as much as possible to release the neck, to release this arm, also to work on because they at first they thought maybe it was not all that conk until when they realized that it was digging holes in my body, especially around here, the dagger hole, and on my back it had also dug a hole. Then they realized it was concentrated because when here I had a hole where I could see something inside. While there, life was really hard. Today you could see the other person dying. And most of us by that time, I think it's the year when Uganda registered high cases of acid attacks. Most of the people who were there were acid victims in their burns unit. Today you will see the other person dying. Remember, you become like a family on this bed. The other person maybe is on the other side. Because we had stayed there, so we became like a family. But what used to put us down is when you see maybe you hear about someone dying. I remember when my ear got off, I tried to commit suicide. I took the overdose of oral morphine. Unfortunately, the doctors were around. One of them saw me taking the entire bottle. Then my parents were outside. because when I became aggressive, I started chasing all my caretakers. Like you would sit there and you try to talk to me, I will not reply you. So most of these people used to find themselves outside. After some time, the doctor called them and was like, "What's going on? Lynette has done this and this." So they realized that I'd taken the overdose. Then they had to put more drips to try to cool down the medicine. That's how I was saved. Afterwards, now life really became hard, especially when I lost that ear. I could not accept that now I had become something like a different person. I hated myself, like saying that even like you hate everything around you. But when in hospital, it's when I realized that it's only your fellow survivor who can understand you, who can understand your pain, and who can understand like all your needs. So I remember there was a lady called Hanifa. She was a lecturer's wife. She was also burnt by the lecturer. Hanifa had lost sight. One of her eye, she was partially blind, but she had remained with one eye. She used to come like, and with that the eye she had many issues. Every day they could take her to research in a lens. Remember, for me as a person, immediately after being admitted there, I was blind for the 2 months, so my eyes couldn't see anything. But Hanifa, when she heard about me, remember, was a Makerere student and she was burnt by Makerere lecturer. She was burnt in December, was burnt in January. She kept on coming to my bed. She was like, "Lynette, at least I want you to keep complaining about your eyes. I've lost now sight. I'm not sure whether my second ear will survive. I don't want you to lose sight. You're a young girl," because by that time I remember I was just 9, I'm making 20 years. Said, "I don't want you to lose sight. At least once you, even if you have all like pain everywhere, just focus on the eyes. The doctors focus on your eyes." Excuse me. So the doctors came and they were like, "I think that the eyes will open, they will try to close the eyes. Afterwards, they put something like a cup where you can see some light, little light, because they don't want much light to enter your eyes." Afterwards, when they tried to open, they realized that my eyes were not opening very fast. Then I remember one of the doctors came and he told these people he had something which they used to regularly put it here and they could see what is happening. He told them, "I can see acid is eating up this eye within maybe like 3 days it will be done." Then when I heard that, really, it was like the world has ended. So this doctor, remember at times they are willing to do everything, but maybe they don't have whatever all these facilities around. Lucky enough, I had a friend who got me an eye specialist. This eye specialist came, tried to look at the eyes, and he told me this eye was almost becoming blind. And even this one needed the support of this one, so they had to insert the lens in this one. After a few days, then my sight was saved. But of course, when I lost the ear, I became something else. My mom, she could stay there. If you're not talking, they tell you bring what, you don't want to talk to anyone. So and if I kept on coming. So when I became aggressive because of the ear, and if I came, and she was like, "Lynette, where you have your sight, at least your second eye has been saved. What about me? One eye is already gone. I saw it falling down. And the second eye I'm having is just partially. I'm not very sure whether it will even survive because she had lenses inside. But what about you? You have your face." Because I remember I have scars. some of these scars can be seen because the nose was just like this. It was also burnt around here. But the shape kept on with time, it came back. So it's like at least the nose got damaged, but it will come back to its shape. But what about us who have lost the entire, like now you're beyond recognition, even your own daughter cannot recognize you. I had Hanifa's whatever message she was telling me. Later on, I said, now what should I do? But of course, at times you'll be like, maybe for her she's very strong and me I'm not strong. After a few days, she came with another lady. She's called Gloria Kankunda. When Gloria came, now for it was a different story. For the entire body was burnt, and she had an artificial eye. When she came to me, she was like, Lynette, can you recognize the artificial eye? I couldn't. Then she was like, Lynette, just be positive about life. Everything, whatever you want, whatever you wish, will come to pass, but just be positive. Your ear, the ear you're crying for, they work on it. You get maybe an artificial ear, or they will try to construct something. But just mind about your life right now. So slowly, I really became positive. Then I started thinking about going back to the university after some months. But remember, it was now taking for me time to recover. They had like several surgeries because they could pull because it had big holes and it was deep. After 1 year, because I was admitted on 11th January, I left the hospital on 3rd December. So when I went back home, this is a different thing. I found people at home waiting for me, like the way when someone is dead, like when you're going to bring a dead person at home, the way you find people gathered at home waiting waiting to see the person, how the dead body. That's how people had really organized themselves. All people were, the whole place was full, and all these people were sad. So when I reached home, all these people wanted to see, like it was really something different, that can really someone survive an acid attack. Afterwards, now life really became different because when you're in hospital, you like the counseling is from one person to another. You will see the other person in the same pain. You will see some other person coming in, maybe it's more. It's the way it's looking like it's completely different, maybe for you better than the other person, and you counsel yourself. But when you go home, it's when you realize that it is now a different thing because at home you have to be you. There are many things that come, like especially when you're at home, the society, the way they are going to perceive you, your own family members, and everything around you, you really feel now you're a different person. I remember at first they used to call me Kalika survival. Like you really see, like you become something different, whereby these people even try to forget about your name. The name they will always call you is survivor. So later on, I told my mom, you know what? I said now I was in hospital. We have mainly most of us were women. Even the few men who were there, most of these men, because for most of them were part of business issues, and most of the women, these were gender-based issues. You know, at times some of these people they die silently. They don't want to speak about it. For example, being burnt by by your own husband, the father of your children, and you don't want your children to know about it. So some of them used to keep quiet. I said, I think I can be a voice to the voiceless, but I can only achieve this through education. So after a few, if like it was, I think like 2 months, I told my mom, you know what, I want to go back to campus. Let me go back to school. My mom was very scared because I had fresh wood. This breast was very fresh. You know, this is a fat, so the whole breast was still fresh. It had not healed. Said it's okay. Then she took me to the university. Remember, I requested for a date year. When I reached there, They said, okay, you can now start with the other students who are all been there, who are now already in their who have already now started their first year. Then you'll be starting with them. My mom looked at me and started crying. Afterwards, the dean was like, "What's going on? I can see you crying." Instead of being happy that now your daughter is back, my mom told them, I'm not happy because she still has wounds. The wounds are still fresh, especially the breast is still fresh, and this armpit was still fresh. But she wants to come back, and I'm scared of the infections. What if she gets an infection and it fails to heal? When I didn't have that one, I told me, "You know what? We know you want to come back to school, but first go home and recover. After recovering, you'll come back and you'll start afresh." So now I had to go back home to first get all the treatment. Then afterwards, I started schooling. When I went back to campus, life was really hard. Struggling with identity, which is now already changed identity, because I tried to change myself from a normal person to a Muslim. I used to veil my hair, veil myself and put on Muslim attires all the time because I didn't want people to see any scar on my body. I could try to veil, even if it is like a small scar. I didn't want people to see anything. Then I would put on long sleeve because I didn't want people to see the scars on my hands. Time went on. Now students, they became like some of these students became closer to me, but they knew I was a Muslim. I remember when I just joined, I informed one like when you're trying to look for new friends. Remember the people I was studying with, they were already far. So when I got to this new friend, I tried to explain to her what happened. I told her I narrated the entire story, and the lady really got scared. The next day, she started dodging me, like you could see this person trying to avoid you. Then I realized that now my story was causing more harm than good. She really avoided me until I think when we finished because our friendship ended on that day when I tried to disclose my story. So I said, I think I will not tell any other person about my past. Let me just keep it for myself. So I kept it, moved on like a Muslim until I remember I was in my second year, second semester. So when I met Hanif and Gloria, they were moving freely. These are people who were burnt like all their faces are full of scars. And all of these two ladies, they are partially blind. They told me, Lynette, why are you veiling yourself? You have your face, although it is halfway, it's damaged. But at least you can be recognized. Why are you covering yourself, trying to make yourself something you're not? I told them it is hard for me. At least let me be like a Muslim. They said you need to be yourself. I remember that day I went back home, like to the hostel. I told my roommate, by that time I'd gotten a roommate because it took me time to get a roommate. The first time when I went back to campus, I remember the first time I had a bodyguard, someone to move with. But later on, life became something like, this is a life you're not used to. I told my mother, I want to be a free person. Then she said it is okay. Then they took me to another hostel where security was very tight. Then they told the Scalis not to allow me to move out. I was not allowed to move out. They could cook for me and bring my food, wash for me, do everything for me. But that was not me. I told her, you know what, I want to live my my normal life. I want to be the other person. He said it is there, it is okay with you. Then remember now I'm struggling with the changed identity. After the meeting with these people, Anifa and Gloria, I went back to the house. I told my roommate, you know what? I want to be myself. I said, Mate, what do you mean? I told her I want to be myself. I threw away all the veils and the Muslim attires. I started now to dress like the way I used to dress. Then when we went for internship, I became like these other normal people, like, and I was living my normal life, painting hair, and even putting on my normal clothes, the ones I used to put on. When I went back to campus, all the students were like, Hajat, what happened? Even the lecturer asked, Hajat, what happened? Are you no longer Muslim? These days you no longer put on Muslim attires. What happened? So the students, they the ones who responded. The lecturer, they were like, I think she had a Muslim man and maybe they separated. That's when else is trying to be herself. But I didn't know what was the story, which, like the story which was behind all that. So life moved on. Of course, you're struggling with many issues. I could not associate it like freely like, with these people. Everything about me changed. I became so aggressive. Many people used to call me a tough lady, because they didn't know what was wrong with me. But those people had started with before the attack, they knew me. So these people, they used to, because I used to try to, as much as it is, to avoid groups, to be alone. I wanted, like, all the time I used to be alone, trying to avoid people, because I used to think maybe everyone, like, I used not to trust anyone. I used to think, like, if I trust you, maybe the other guy who burnt me will deal with you. It will be like a deal between you and the other person, and maybe you can do something more harmful than this. So it became very hard for me to associate with friends, even to, like, most of the groups. It was not easy to find me in most of those groups, and unless it's like it was now from the lecturer that how we had to maybe to create a group. So life at campus became hard. But later on, you remember when I was there, most of these students, they didn't know about my story. All of them, the ones now I was studying with. So I kept my story. Whenever they could see the scars, and most of them were like, Lynette, what happened? I could try to deceive them that I got involved in a car accident where I was at campus. So most of them later on were like, I think she got an accident. But I didn't know that this was an accident attack until when I graduated. After my graduation, people who had written a story about me before the attack, like a story about me on that day of the attack, followed me. Like, they followed up my story, and the Daily Monitor published an inspirational story after my graduation. So it's when most of the students got to know that I was an attack victim. They saw my scars, they saw everything, and the entire story. It was very hard because most of them were like, Lynette, we are not an easy lady to deal with. How can you be with, like, how can you be our friend? And you don't tell us that you were burnt or you were like this and this. So I told them, and for you cannot understand why I decided to keep it that way, but I had the reason. Then later on, I started to tell them the reason why I decided to keep it myself, but they accepted. So life now moved on. I started now volunteering, working with acid victims, because I did start with after my graduation. I remember when I was in hospital, there was a friend of mine, a white friend, who he became my close friend. He used to come to give me counseling, to talk to me, because for him he was a cancer survivor. Then afterwards, when I came back to campus, he offered me a course. Like, he told me to join Makerere College of Health Sciences to do a certificate in advanced counseling. So I was doing it with the other bachelor's degree. So when I finished, we started working together with him, going to the cancer department, cancer hospital, cancer institute, talking to the cancer patients. Then afterwards, I told him, you know what, Dr. Jack, this is not my call. I feel I should be with the survivors, because that is my home. It's like my home. I feel comfortable when I'm with them, because during that time, the doctors used to call me and announce about it. Like every year that they used to call me, Lynette, we have this and this person. You can come and talk to the person. So I used to go there, but I was giving them less time. So when I told Dr. Jack, I said, Lynn, that's the reason why I wanted you to learn how to counsel people. So I started now working with the burns patients, like with the burns unit. As time went on, I became like that became like a permanent home. Like every week, I used to go there 2 times. In most cases, they could call me, Lynette, we have now this person is starving. She doesn't want to eat. She wants to commit suicide. She wants to do this. So you go. And there are times when they call you, and these people are from different regions whereby even you don't understand the language. Maybe the person is a Mufumbira or is only now speaking Mufumbira and you don't know the language. At times you find these people are using complicated languages, but they want you to talk to these people. So later we started working, then we had to get involved in advocacy work, trying to advocate for the rights of the victims, talking about these issues on in various like on various because by that time I've always been using my Facebook platform, that is Lynn, trying to talk about to spread about like to spread this info, like to create awareness about this problem. Then we started to do more of our advocacy work, supporting each other, reaching out to these victims. Until 2017, when we registered an organization called Hope Care Rescue Mission that supports acid and burn survivors. Then we also have those people who get disabled as a result of various events in life. For example, when you go to the burns unit, we have a unit called plastic ward, where these people who get maybe disabilities, different disabilities. Maybe it is a car accident, or we got involved in, maybe you had issues. You find yourself you have now one leg. So those are some of the people we've been dealing with. Then later on, we added on the albinos and other people with disabilities, which we call the underserved people. Most of these people who have been neglected, who have not been seen as important people in our societies. Then we decided, like I said, we decided to be a voice and also to empower these victims to also become a voice for themselves, to also speak up about their problems. So as an organization now, we have really been trying to reach out to these people, trying to understand their way of life, what are their needs. At least we have been able to support some survivors to undergo various surgeries, and most of these people have been like, at times maybe you find someone has seen maybe a post on my page or has seen our page, and the person reaches out to us that we have this person, he needs a surgery, what can be done. We have not been funded by any organization, but we have been reaching out to individual funders who have been supporting our work. Most of these are our friends and other people who just get to know about us through the work we do. So we have supported some survivors to undergo various surgeries. At times we get them from very far. Some people are from Bwindi, others are from very far. But at least we move with them in that journey. Well, we decided to because as Hope Care Rescue Mission, our main aim is to bring hope to the hopeless and to also empower them through various activities. So at least we have seen some of these people coming out to speak about their problems. And we have also supported some of these families. During the lockdown, we also had various programs. We had a 1 month program where we're trying to unlock families of the survivors, trying to give them some kind of support in form of emergency response, because it is called an emergency response program. Remember, we have victims who are completely blind. We also have those who are not blind, but because of the disfigurement or the disability they have, they are not willing to face the world. They are not willing to move out of their houses. Remember, maybe someone was working before the attack. She had something she used to do, or But because of the attack, at times some of these people see us like as if you cannot do anything. Personally, I remember when they were giving out national IDs, I was left out during the first phase. I went to take a photo, and these people they told me, Lynette, have a passport photo is supposed to be containing 2 years. But remember, I don't have the second year. And where do you expect me to go and buy the second year? I told them, where do you want me to go and buy the second year? They said, we don't know, but we cannot have a passport without the second year. So what I did, I tried to keep on following up. I got some of I involved some of the RDCs, like all these people to help me out. I just got my national ID last year. So you find the other victims outside there who have suffered the same thing because of the disfigurement they have. So we started to support these people in there because for the home-based, the 1 month program, we were only targeting, that was under the home-based care, where we're targeting people at home. We're not targeting people in hospitals because that was a risky moment for us during the lockdown. So we have different programs we do as Hope Care Rescue Mission. We have advocacy whereby we are trying, right now we're trying to come up with, we are doing a baseline survey for the problem of acid attacks and what can be done. We're also trying to publish some books about the work we are doing. Then we also have human rights, whereby we try to, as an organization, we try to move. It is like a journey. If you have a case and a victim, we try to come to court to follow up these cases. At times, these people are not willing to face their perpetrators. They will tell you, no, I cannot go to court. I don't want to see this person. So we try to stand in for that person and make sure at least we follow up and see what happens. At least we have been able to win some cases as a result of our presentation there. We also have I've already talked about the emergency response program. We also have the palliative care program, whereby we reach out to various hospitals where we identify these victims, because at times we identify them from the media, like during when you can see someone when you're watching news. At times because we work with various media houses. Some of these people, they will call you, have you watched this and this? Then you tell the person no, okay, then they tell you we have this victim. You can get the contact and follow up. Then they give you the contacts and you follow up. At times, once the person is admitted, the hospital will inform us about every case that comes in. And since we decided to also deal with people who get involved in bands, especially bands violence, because we cannot deal with any kind of violence, any kind of bands. We have those people who just ban themselves. Maybe you are cooking and you ban yourself. But we have these people who are being banned, maybe in a house fire, or the person was just burnt, maybe with cooking oil. So we try to look after those people. And we like under palliative care, it is where we mind about the psychosocial, the psycho part of it, that is trying to deal with the emotions. Then the spiritual part of the person, we are trying to make sure the person is well, all the parts of the person, like now he's ready to to come out and speak about the problem. So we try to move this person like a journey, that is the palliative care, where we offer psychosocial support, but not only the psychosocial support, because you cannot counsel me or give me counseling when I don't have something to put into my stomach. So what it means, you also have to feed the body. As you're feeding even the soul, you need to feed the body. So we have the nutritional program, that is the nutritional support program, whereby, because the hospital, their needs are different from those people at home. Someone will tell you, I need orthopedic equipment, maybe a neck collar or a pressure garment. And the other person at home, for her, maybe she wants food or she wants something to start. We also have an empowerment program, which we call the socioeconomic empowerment, where we try to empower a person the socially and economically, whereby you want to first see the person that is willing. Now the person who came, maybe like I've told you, you find the person is not willing to move out, is not willing to like the cop-up mechanism in it is different from one individual to another. So we try to make sure we look at all these issues and make sure the person is now well off, is now ready to deal with these issues. Then afterwards we empower the person economically. We've been giving out some loans to the victims to empower them to start at least something, even if it is small. But as long as the person is willing, the person can do something and sustain maybe the family or sustain him or herself.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been really
Yes.
a very emotional story. And people would like to know, so did the person that attacked you, is he in jail? Like what happened?
The person who attacked me, I think I didn't talk about that part. Immediately, they got my statement and the person was arrested. But this is Uganda, where times laws don't work. He was arrested for only a week. Then I saw the police officers coming to the hospital. They told me, Lynn, I remember by that time I couldn't see anything. They told me, Lynette, yes, you can't see, but if at all we put you in a line, we put the person in a line, the person who burnt you in a line, can you recognize him? Like, can you identify him? Remember, I can't see, and they wanted me to identify the person in a line. You just can't touch the person. Then afterwards, now they came up with other excuses that Lynette, even if you take the person to court, even if you win the case, but the person will not stay in prison for long because we don't have a specific law on acid violence. They told me right now, like they told me by that time, they were using the penal code, and it was now they were considering acid violence as assault or attempted murder, but the circumstances were all a bit different. So they told me, Lynette, just have a meeting with this person who burnt you, and you agree on how much he can give you as a compensation fee, and you leave this. So I
Ah,
told them, so I
unbelievable.
told them there's nothing. I told them there's nothing I need from him because his main reason of the attack was to either end my life or put me down. I don't need
Yes,
anything from
that's
him, and
attempted
I'm not.
murder.
Yes, yes.
Because
And
of
I
course
told
he
him,
wanted to finish your life and kill you. There was no other intention.
so I told them, like I could not have a meeting with this person or sit anywhere with him. So they said, okay. After, I think it was after one day, now making a week, he was out.
Wow.
They released him. Then when they released him, he first moved abroad. The family first took him abroad, and later on, now when he came back for studies, he started using my own friends, the ones I had started with, or the ones I had studied with to spy me. Like they could come to hospital there what we were planning to do. So later on, I realized this is someone where I said he was very obsessed because even after attacking me, still he kept on saying, "Lynette, I still want you back." Even when
What?
I went back, yes,
It's so
even when I
shocking.
went back to campus, he told me, Lynette, you're still my wife. I'm waiting for you. Even if it means waiting for how many years, I'll wait. But you're the person I have to marry. So later on, by the way, I think something maybe I didn't tell you. He kept on calling. I kept on like changing numbers. I could change from this number to the other number. He kept on calling me, asking me like, now today you call. I would like to meet you. I would like to send you some money. Then I could tell him, no, I don't need your money. I would like to meet you. Then I could tell him, with whatever was between us ended. Now we cannot share. Like we cannot even sit on one
One
table, like,
table.
and maybe yes, and share anything because that's how you ended it. Then later on, he requested, like he wanted us to meet. One of my friends said, I think, Lynn, it is high time you meet this person and get to hear from him about what he wants to tell you. I went, I told my roommate, like, Sharon, let's go and meet this guy. Once you see me stopping, that will be the person for you. Also stop somewhere as you keep on watching what is happening. So when I reached there, I told him, I think what you wanted, you only wanted to see how I look like. This is how I am. I remember by that time I was now like a Muslim. So I told him, this is who I am. What is it? Then later on he wanted, he was like, let's get somewhere and we sit and talk. I told him we can no longer share one table. We are no longer lovers, so there is no need for us to sit and talk. You can tell me whatever you wanted to tell me, just here. He said, okay, let's go for a shopping. I said, no, I don't need anything from you. But I think I just came to prove to you that I'm still alive. I'm not yet dead. Then I disappeared. But still, that one didn't stop him because I remember it was burnt in 2011. He kept on following me up because at times you could hear a person calling using different numbers. When even I started working, he could call me. I remember the last time when I heard from him, when he saw that story, the Daily Monitor story, it's when he stopped calling. I think maybe he realized that maybe I would do something and try like to follow him up. Then that's when he stopped following me up. I think that since 2016 he had never called.
Wow. What an emotional story, how hard people can be, like, because somebody has said, let's end the relationship, you want to end their life. Like, you just can't live without them and you don't want them to be happy. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone that tuned in today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. And I want to say, Lynn, thank you so much for having the courage to go through this. And then you're helping others that are going through similar experiences. So everyone, if you're watching or you watch this video later on when we are done with the live, if you need to support her organization, I've put the link in the description box so you can check it out. And if you can support the people, like she said, she's supporting people, acid victims, burns, anyone that is unable to help themselves in the hospitals and stuff like that. So for telling your story and empowering and giving us positive vibes, really, for some of that may have also gone through a similar situation. All right.
Yes, please.
To end this live in a few minutes, thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video.